Good day, everybody. Tracy Brown here, your somatic nutrition dietitian and intuitive eating and body image expert. And we are here because today is International No Diet Day. So please, if you're going to do anything today, don't do dieting, because we know that it has a less than 5% chance of ever working in the long run. So please don't do it. But I know you're here watching this because you aren't, or you're at least skeptical that it's not going to help you long term have a stable and regulated weight, and of course probably not make you any healthier. So like I said, don't do it. Thank you for coming. If you're coming live, good morning or afternoon to you. So I want to, it's, you know, sometimes I don't forget, but it's good for me to come back around and talk about this often, because I think that we do forget sometimes and we get confused that it doesn't mean that nutrition doesn't matter in intuitive eating or attuned eating or whatever descriptor you like. It's that it can't always be the first and driving force in what makes our food decisions. Now, there are always exceptions to that, and then we have to honor that, of course. And I think that makes the process, you have to slow things down more and get really clear about pros and cons of things, and what is the most healthy in whatever phase of recovery from diets and disorder eating you're in. So often in my sessions with individual clients, I don't take it for granted, but I know, and they know since we're working together, that, you know, each week and we can work on the nuances of going back and forth. You know, so if I work with a client who has diabetes or IBS or you know, some kind of fatigue thing, or some kind of any kind of thing in general, and nutrition can play a role in people's comfort levels or health or whatever it is, those things are all taken into account depending on what stage of recovery we're in. Now, I know a lot of people who maybe start the recovery process and they don't have a lot of you know, maybe their bodies are in a place where they can just eat just about anything and not have any issues. Or if they have to make a few little tweaks to their eating and nutrition because of something minor and the food change isn't triggering, then they can easily go do that. But for some of us, there are a lot more things to keep in mind in terms of like maybe short or long-term health that have to be addressed. So that doesn't mean that you can't address it and still be an intuitive eater. And so I know there's a ton of confusion around that, like that, oh, well, if I'm, you know, eating mixed meals or experimenting with my protein, carb, and fat amounts because I have PCOS, let's say, that means I'm not intuitive eating. That's not true. But we have to look at like our motive and our context for making those changes. And if it feels too much like a diet for some people, you maybe that those changes can't be quite made in exactly the way that would be the most supportive for your body. But that doesn't mean that you don't care about your health. It just means you have to keep working through the process of getting to the place where that's more doable and doesn't feel like a diet, and therefore won't cause any other side effects like sneak eating or binge eating or things like that. So I know people in the newer years, honestly, to intuitive eating really feel scared and like, well, how do I balance my health condition with intuitive eating? You can totally do that, but it takes a lot more, at the beginning, understanding like, well, how these foods impact me and what would it mean? What does it mean about me? And, you know, what's going to happen if I do or I don't tweak things? And how can I move away from a fear-based and shame approach and move more towards a compassionate approach with my eating, and knowing that you're not going to be perfect, that your body can tolerate, I'm using air quotes here, eating mistakes, because it would just give you more intense feedback, which is not a problem. And we just keep learning, and we keep coming to it from a place of like what we would imagine the most like caring and attentive parent might do with us or for us. So I hope this makes sense. If any of y'all have any questions about this, but I do these nutrition and intuitive eating videos, you know, every couple months just to remind people. But if you have forgotten, I'm glad this is a good reminder for you. If you've never heard this before, I'm glad we did it. And please let people know that could use this if they're feeling confusion around like, well, how, I have IBS or I have PCOS or I have this. How do I do intuitive eating? Make sure you let them know about this video, because it's really about context, intent, how you feed yourself, making sure you're feeding yourself enough, looking at any places where you feel scared that you're dieting again, and recognizing there's a big difference between dieting and making food decisions that would be supportive to your body. And if you have, I'll call them hooks, any hooks around like, well, I think this would be more helpful to me, but another part of me feels like I'm being restrictive and it feels diety. Well, look at the validity and truth in that. Is that true? And if it's not, you're probably on the right track, because you're eating enough, you're making changes that, the meals and snacks still feel really satisfying. But if it looks like it's healthy and that's triggering, there's work to do in there about like what that would mean about you eating in a certain way. What would happen? What wouldn't happen? There's a lot to unpack there. So thank you all so much for watching live. I so appreciate it. As always, much love to you. Appreciate it. You taking your time out to do that. And I will see you in the next video. So take care. Bye.